Am I the antagonist for not helping my 15M stepbrother, 13M, with his exam? My dad recently got married to my stepmom and moved into her house. She has 2 kids who are 8 years old and 13 years old. Before the school year started, as a sophomore in high school, I asked my dad if I could live with them so I could attend the school in their area. The school in my mom's district is much worse than the one in my stepmom's district. However, my dad said no, explaining that there were many changes happening in our lives at the moment and we all needed time to adjust. I used to spend weekends with my dad, but I've started working on weekends to save money for college. As a result, I won't be able to go to his house every weekend anymore. Last night, my dad contacted me and asked if I could help my stepbrother with his upcoming test on Friday. He knows I'm a great student, as I was the top of my class last year, so he thought I could assist my stepbrother. I declined my dad's request, explaining that I'm involved in extracurricular activities and don't have the time to help. Additionally, it's not practical for me to go to their house to provide assistance. My dad then offered to pick me up every day after school and bring me back after dinner. He stressed how important it was for my stepbrother to do well on the test, because my stepmom wants him to get into a good prep school. I got upset because when I requested to live with them for better education, my dad didn't prioritize it. I told him I wouldn't help them at all because they didn't help me when I needed it. He argued that I'm not contributing to our family integration and that I should act like an older brother. He believes this refusal to help will harm my relationship with my stepbrother. He mentioned he would call me the next day to continue the discussion. Today, my mom wanted to talk to me. She mentioned that my dad had spoken to her and she felt I should help. She explained that if I don't assist, my stepbrother might hold a grudge, which could permanently impact our relationship. Even though we're not biologically related, we're now a family and should act as such, according to her. I told my mom that I didn't feel like they acted like a family when they didn't let me move in with them. She said the decision was ultimately mine, but she thought I was mistaken. My mom and I currently live with my grandparents. My grandpa noticed that my mom and I had a serious conversation, and I told him what had happened. He acknowledged that it was my decision, but he also believed it would damage my relationship with my dad's new family. Later, my dad called me and I reiterated that I wouldn't assist them, suggesting that they hire a tutor instead. He offered to pay me to come over if that was the issue, but I explained that wasn't the problem. The issue was that he didn't give the same importance to my education. In response, my dad claimed that the problem was that I always thought of myself and that I would eventually realize I was wrong. He expressed his disappointment in me and mentioned that he helps me with my education to the best of his ability, just like he was trying to assist my stepbrother. He told me that if I changed my mind, I could call him and he would pick me up. However, I still believe I am in the right. They didn't help me when I asked for it, so I see no reason to help them now. Your dad made the decision not to let you live with him and your stepmom in order to attend a better school. It is understandable that you feel hurt and slighted by this decision, especially since education is important to you. It is also understandable that you feel frustrated that now suddenly, education is a priority for your stepbrother when it wasn't for you. You have a right to prioritize your own commitments and activities, such as extracurriculars and your part-time job. It is not feasible for you to go to their house every day after school to help your stepbrother with his test. It is not unfair to want equal treatment when it comes to education. Your mom and grandpa understand your feelings, but they ultimately leave the decision up to you. It is important to communicate your feelings to your dad and express that you feel they didn't support you when you needed it. Ultimately, you have the right to decide whether or not to help them, and it is understandable if you choose not to based on the way you have been treated. Am I the antagonist for not paying for a group dinner? Even I could have easily done it. I am a professional soccer player for a reputable team in Europe. A few days ago, my team played a match against my hometown team, and afterward, I wanted to catch up with my friends. I have known these people since high school, and I consider them to be my true friends. It's particularly challenging to meet genuine people when you are somewhat famous and supposedly wealthy, because most individuals try to use you in some way. We were all incredibly excited to see each other. My friends had reserved a restaurant with a private area. Just to clarify, this place is nice but not overly fancy. Typically, a regular dinner there would cost around €100, $105. Moving on to the dinner, we were having a great time. Everyone was present and the atmosphere was perfect. After enjoying their cocktails, I refrained from drinking during the season, we began ordering our food. To my surprise, everyone started ordering the most expensive dishes. At first, I didn't think much of it and assumed they simply wanted to indulge in the moment, until I witnessed them ordering some of the most luxurious wines on the menu. A single bottle alone cost €400, $422. That's when I realized they expected me to foot the bill for everything. I was stunned, unsure how to react. I wanted my friends to be happy, but I also felt taken advantage of. It reminded me of the numerous times others had tried to exploit me. I believe the confusion arose because this restaurant is the same one we went to when I signed for my current club. Back then, I invited everyone as a celebration, and they probably assumed this time would be similar. As everyone finished ordering, I deliberated whether I should speak up or not. My mood began to decline as a result. My friends noticed this and asked if I was all right. I expressed that their actions made me extremely uncomfortable because I never indicated that I would cover all the expenses. One of my friends said, "Man, you should have let us know in advance. We can't afford to pay 1K euro each for a dinner." I replied, "You guys should have informed me beforehand too. I thought we simply wanted to spend quality time together regardless of the cost." They started saying that they would pay for it and that I need not worry. This broke my heart because I realized they didn't intend to take advantage of me, but they had inadvertently put me in a difficult situation. The mood shifted after that. Although we remained calm and civil, the final bill came out to be around €500, $528 per person. For my friends, this is a significant amount considering they earn around 1.5K per month. They can afford it, but it's a substantial expense. Throughout the entire ordeal, everyone remained sad yet polite. They bid me farewell with good manners and wished me success for the rest of the season. Now, I feel awful because I could have handled the situation differently. They ended up paying a lot when I could have easily covered everything. So am I the asshole? It seems like your friends had the wrong assumption about who would be paying for the dinner. It was unfair for them to order expensive dishes and wine without discussing who would be covering the bill beforehand. You didn't expect to be put in this situation, and it's understandable that you felt uncomfortable and used. It's also worth noting that you mentioned this restaurant was the same one you went to when you signed for your current club, which may have led to the misunderstanding. However, it's important for friends to communicate openly about their expectations and avoid making assumptions. When you expressed your discomfort, your friends responded by offering to pay, which shows that they didn't intend to take advantage of you. However, the fact that they were unable to afford such an expensive dinner and had to pay a significant amount of money can understandably make them upset. In the future, it may be helpful to clarify expectations beforehand to avoid similar situations. It's unfortunate that this misunderstanding has caused tension in your friendship, but it doesn't make you the asshole in this situation. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give my ex her necklace back? My ex Jane, 23 years old, and I, 25 years old, recently broke up. I live at home and she lives in a college dorm about an hour away, so she always kept some things at my place. I have a well-paying job, and since I've always lived at home, I tended to spoil her with gifts, including jewelry. The jewelry I gave her wasn't very expensive, but a lot of them were little handmade items that we bought at handmade markets during our travels across the country. She quickly picked up the things she had at my place and insisted that I wasn't there when she did, which wasn't a big deal. However, when I returned, I noticed that she left behind her jewelry box filled with trinkets. I promptly sent her a photo of the open box asking if she wanted me to ship it or drop it off. To my surprise, she responded rudely, saying something like, "I don't want anything that reminds me of the time I wasted with you." It hurt me considering it was a mutual breakup, but I brushed it off. Although the jewelry wasn't valuable, I didn't want to throw it away. Instead, I gave the box to my younger sisters, 8 and 11 years old, and told them to choose what they liked. I planned on donating the rest to a local shelter or something. My 8-year-old sister, Julie, really loved an opal butterfly necklace from the box. She absolutely adores it and hasn't taken it off since she put it on. She keeps expressing her gratitude with the cutest thank yous. She even made me a thank you card at school with butterflies on it. It's no secret that I have a soft spot for my sisters. I mean, why wouldn't I? They're beautiful girls. Yesterday, my ex called me with a completely different tone. She acknowledged that she has been behaving badly and apologized. She then asked if she could have her jewelry box back after all. I told her she could because I hadn't donated it yet, but my sisters had already taken what they liked. She asked about the butterfly necklace, and I explained that Julie now has it and loves it. My ex became upset, claiming that I gave away her things and requested that I ask my sister to return it. I went downstairs and saw Julie happily playing with her little butterfly necklace on, and I couldn't bring myself to take it away from her. I turned around, called Jane, and told her she could have everything else that was left, since the girls only took a few items, but the butterfly necklace wasn't going to be returned. She called me an asshole and hung up. Now I'm receiving abusive messages from her and her sister. So am I the asshole? You are not the asshole in this situation. It was kind of your ex to offer to return her jewelry box, but she made it clear that she didn't want anything that reminded her of the time she spent with you. You made a thoughtful decision to give the jewelry to your young sisters, who found joy and appreciation in it. You prioritized their happiness over your ex's request, which is completely understandable. Your ex's reaction to this situation is unreasonable and selfish. She initially didn't want the jewelry, and now that she knows your sister has the butterfly necklace, she wants it back. It's not fair for her to ask for it after she made it clear she didn't want any reminders of your time together. You handled the situation respectfully, considering both your sister's feelings and your ex's request. It's unfortunate that your ex and her sister are sending abusive messages, but that only further demonstrates their immaturity. Am I the antagonist for refusing to keep coddling my mother as if she were a child? I, 33-year-old female, have always had to deal with my mother's 60-year-old childish takes on things, and I have reached a point where I am tired of keeping up with it. She has probably been suffering from anxiety over the past few years. She sometimes gets overly stressed about trivial things and lashes out at us, my father, sibling, and me, because things are not going her way, or because she thinks they are not going her way. Just 2 weeks ago, I helped her send a test in the form of a Google survey because she had issues with the CAPTCHA. During this time, she didn't understand why the page was not allowing her answers and was upset that my sister was out with her boyfriend and not helping her, all while stomping her feet like a 5-year-old. I solved the CAPTCHA and the answer got sent. Instead of being happy, she panicked because I could have touched the answers and changed them, and she could fail because of that. So she started fake crying and acting like a child. Yes, it sounds like that and it's annoying as heck. I was having none of it and just kicked her out. Of course, everything was fine when the results came, so she behaved like a child for nothing once again. Between these attitudes, and the fact that she is unwilling to address the issue by going to a psychologist as advised by the entire family, I am at my wit's end with her. Today, she decided she didn't want to go to our uncle's home for a barbecue. It's a weekly thing for our family to spend some time with relatives, because she is tired. I've returned home bringing her something to eat. I went into her room to check on her and had a chat with her about her not feeling okay and maybe being depressed. Once again, I advised her to go to therapy, but she ignored the answer and asked me to bring her some food to the bed. And that's where I was probably the asshole. I denied doing that. I told her to get up from bed, go downstairs, and eat at the table. I don't want to coddle a grown adult who complains, blames others, and then asks for special treatment, especially one who has been doing that her entire life. I'm done dealing with people who put their mental well-being on their loved ones instead of addressing it as mature adults. And I say that last part as someone who actually realized they were suffering from depression during the global pandemic and sought help from an actual therapist. I know what it's like to be in a bad place mentally, but I would never dream of extorting attention from my loved ones because of that. But now I'm kind of feeling like an for doing it and being harsh with her. Am I the asshole? It seems like you have reached your breaking point with your mother's behavior, and it's understandable that you're tired of dealing with her constant complaining and refusal to seek help for her anxiety. It's important for individuals to take responsibility for their own mental health and not rely on their loved ones to constantly provide special treatment. You offered her advice and support by suggesting therapy, but she chose to ignore it. Setting boundaries by refusing to cater to her demands for special treatment does not make you an in this situation. Am I the antagonist for tricking my husband into cleaning the house? My husband and I have a system where we take turns cooking and cleaning. Every other night he cooks and every other weekend he cleans and vice versa. We have been married for 5 years and we have lived together for 12 plus years. We both have full-time jobs, no kids, and 2 cats. My husband tends to thoroughly clean the house when family or friends are coming to visit. However, on days when it's his turn to clean and no one is visiting, he only does the bare minimum cleaning tasks like vacuuming, mopping, and tidying. I've asked him a few times to do a bit more during his cleaning turns, such as dusting, wiping down the counters, scrubbing the bathroom tiles, and doing laundry, which I do when it's my turn to clean. He has said he would try, but I have only seen him do it a few times before going back to doing the bare minimum. Recently, I noticed that the house was messier than usual on a Friday due to my husband having a few days off work. His junk food garbage was piled up on the coffee table and the laundry needed to be done. Knowing it was his turn to clean on Saturday and wanting a deep clean, I decided to trick him. I lied and told him that my parents wanted to come over for dinner on Sunday because they would be in town. He was surprised and expressed concern. I knew he would do a thorough clean if we were expecting family, and I was right. On Saturday morning, he woke up early and didn't finish cleaning until late afternoon. He went above and beyond, cleaning the entire house, doing the laundry, power washing the driveway, and washing the outside windows. He did an amazing job. I offered to help, but he insisted that he had it under control. I helped by vacuuming the rugs. When he finished cleaning, I told him the truth after he took a shower. I felt guilty about lying. However, he found it amusing and laughed. He even joked that I now have the next 2 weekends in a row for cleaning, and that dinner was on me that night. We laughed together, and I ordered pizza and wings for us. I later shared the situation with my sister, and she called me an an abbreviation for a bad word. She believed I should have just asked my husband again to do a more thorough clean, and that I didn't need to lie. I assured her that I planned on telling him the truth since my parents weren't actually coming over. However, she still thought I was in the wrong and said my husband was being very forgiving. So am I the You could be seen as the for tricking your husband into deep cleaning the house. Although you had initially asked him to do a deeper clean and he didn't follow through, it would have been better to have an open and honest conversation with him rather than resorting to deception. However, your husband seems to have taken it well and found it humorous, and you both are able to make light of the situation. Regardless, it would be beneficial to address the issue of him not consistently doing a thorough clean during his turns, so that both of you can find a resolution that works for both parties. Would I be the antagonist if I reminded my sister how much I babysat for her? I am a 33-year-old woman with an older sister who is now 41 years old. Let's call her JD. JD became a mother at the age of 15 and had a total of 5 sons by the time she turned 24. When I was 13, my parents and I, along with JD's family, decided to move in together due to financial reasons. From that point until my early 20s, I was an unpaid babysitter. I didn't have a choice in the matter. JD believed that since I didn't contribute financially, I needed to contribute in other ways, and my parents went along with it to maintain harmony. During my early teenage years, I essentially skipped 9th grade because I was being homeschooled. However, there wasn't anyone to teach me, and I was expected to take care of my nephews. As a result, I ended up repeating the year. Throughout that first year of being homeschooled and every summer thereafter, I would usually spend my entire day watching my nephews, starting as early as 6 a.m. and ending as late as 6 p.m. on certain days. This prevented me from spending much time with my friends. When I eventually returned to attending school in an actual building, I still had to watch them after school. I despised babysitting the boys because they were constantly fighting with each other and misbehaving. This was also before the era of smartphones, and my nephews would always watch TV to keep themselves calm, which I didn't object to. Consequently, I had no means of entertainment. We did have a desktop computer, but it belonged to my sister, and I was not allowed to use it while I was babysitting. I hardly received any acknowledgement or appreciation for my efforts, let alone any financial compensation. Eventually, as the boys grew older, I moved out, and that was the end of my babysitting days. Now let's fast forward to the present. I have a 3-year-old daughter named Luna, who absolutely adores her Aunt JD and often requests to sleep over on weekends. I wouldn't mind if Luna stayed over for a night, as I love my sister, and it would be nice to have some alone time with my husband. However, JD always declines Luna's requests for sleepovers and day visits, no matter how brief. She comes up with new excuses each time. She needs to clean, run errands, spend time with her husband, tend to her grown-up children, and so on. This bothers me because it seems like she never makes any effort to spend time with us. I understand that her immediate family takes precedence, but it would be nice if she could spare some time for us occasionally. I enjoy spending time with my sister, and despite living just 20 minutes away, I hardly ever get to see her. Then, it dawned on me, JD barely spends any time with my child, whereas I used to watch all 5 of her sons for prolonged periods during my teenage years. I started contemplating whether I should discuss this with her, but I know it will only make her angry and result in an argument. So, would I be the wronged party if I explained to JD how I feel? It is completely understandable that you would feel hurt and frustrated by your sister's lack of involvement with your daughter, especially considering the sacrifices you made for her and her children. It is worth having a calm and honest conversation with her about how you feel, expressing your emotions, and explaining the disparity in how you have both contributed to each other's lives. However, be prepared for the possibility that she may become defensive or angry. Ultimately, you have every right to express your feelings and seek some resolution in this situation. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.